Hello, divine creations, divine marvels, infinite consciousnesses, children of God. Thanks so much for dropping by this video. A while back, when the satsang movement was exploding, I think this was right around the turn of the century, someone coined the phrase the Advaita disease, meaning that someone would go to a satsang, have an epiphany, then have an intellectual understanding of Vedanta, of Advaita Vedanta, and then they'd go start teaching satsang. And it just kind of was like proliferating like a disease. It happened in my town. I live in, well, the town I live in. I'm not quite ready to reveal the town I live in. There's some interesting, there's some people who are very much not a fan of me who keep an eye on this channel. But we had it to the point where there was a non-duality satsang every night of the week. And as I've shared before, at least one of them and multiple people were people who had caught the Advaita disease and went to someone and had a aha moment and were like, okay, I'm done. I'm enlightened. Now I'm going to go teach other people. And so, you know, in making this channel, I've been reflecting on my dance with Neo-Advaita, and you know, there's another YouTuber. I don't believe he's alive anymore. If so, he's not making videos, and so I feel comfortable giving his name, in that I don't believe he's living. I'm trying my best to stay clear of naming specific individuals unless it really feels necessary. Actually, it doesn't feel necessary in this moment. But this person, you know, has about 800 subscribers on their YouTube channel, and that's how I found them. And look what I've turned into. But we'll get to me in a moment. And so this person offered Skype sessions based on donations, and you know, I called the person up and I was like, yeah, and this was when I was really doing bad, and I was like, oh, I'm really depressed, and you know, I don't know what to do. I feel totally lost, and the only thing that's keeping me going is spiritual practice. And this person was like, well, you just need to give up all that spiritual practice, and you need to go get a hamburger and get laid. I wish I was kidding. I wish I was kidding. And just kind of for like 45 minutes chewed me out about, you've got a spiritual ego and da-da-da, and you just need to da-da-da and da-da-da. This person didn't know anything about me. And so me being the idiot I was, you know, I was like, well, his YouTube channels are really good. I mean, his videos sound really awake. You know, he would sit around and be like, you know, and the question, who am I, is the one question that will destroy all, is the one thought that will destroy all other thoughts. And he would just like stare into the camera. He'd be like, you are consciousness. And so me being the idiot that I was, I thought this dude was awakened. And so I took him seriously. And so, yeah, I followed his advice, and in a very short time, I went from very depressed to suicidal. Because like I said, spiritual practice was the only thing keeping me going. And this guy, such a joker. I take that back. That's unnecessary. Negativity. My apologies. I still have some anger towards this person, and I'll tell you why in a moment. So this person took themselves so seriously so what they did is, when they did live sessions with people, they tape recorded them and then they posted them. And I knew this, so it wasn't against my consent. But what he posted was playing, the tagline for his and my session was, playing hardball with blank, my name. And he goes, and then, you know, this whole thing of like, you know, he came to me, you know, lost and worried, and I set him straight. Yeah, straight towards feeling suicidal. So So welcome to Neo-Advaita. Ta-da! That's what the Neo-Advaita movement looks like, is completely unqualified people giving all kinds of advice, life advice, counseling, coaching, and spiritual advice that they're not qualified to give. Welcome to the Neo-Advaita scene. And to boot, I'm not even going to go there. And so, to this person's credit, when I was like, yeah, after our session, I kind of fell apart and felt suicidal. To this person's credit, they had this much integrity that they took down the session and they refunded the donation. So I will give this person that. Um, um, but of course, they just kept making more videos and doing more counseling. So that's funny. I called it counseling. That's basically what, true Advaita Vedanta is spiritual counseling, but not in the sense of talk about your problems. It's teaching people the actual solution. Um, so on this note of everyone wants to be a spiritual teacher, and again, I feel like some of this is my karma coming back at me because I caught the Neo-Advaita disease, and I went around forums, not a lot, and to some people, teaching, being like, I am consciousness, and that's all you are, and all you need to do is recognize that. I didn't do a lot of it, but I did do some of it, and so I recently received a comment. This person is such a, oh my gosh, they wrote, thanks for trying. In my view, God is God is the process in a person to get better, more profound. Yes, eventually to become enlightened. I can see that God is working in you. Still, it is you. And I just stopped right there. So without me asking for it, someone, although I guess I asked for it karmically, without me asking, someone's trying to teach me. And it's rampant in the Neo-Advaita scene and in the modern spiritual scene. It's like someone gets an intellectual understanding and there's like this, oh, I've got to teach you. Or like, how dare you say anything other than? And, I've obviously been a little guilty of this on this channel. I think I've lessened up quite a bit, but it is an Advaita Vedanta channel. And so if someone's going to, if someone expresses a view that's not Advaita Vedanta, I'm mostly fine with it. But if someone is like, this is Advaita Vedanta and, this is like this is how self-inquiry works. And it just isn't like it's real. Then yeah, I'm going to point out that that's wrong or not what Advaita Vedanta is. But so that brings us to me. So what am I doing? Well, from an experiential, my own experience with self-inquiry, with my studies of Ramana Maharshi and the Bhagavad Gita, and now studying what I consider to be, traditional Advaita Vedanta through James Schwartz. And let me just say again, I don't speak for any of those people. I'm just sharing my own knowledge and my own experience of the self and the path, and my long-term meditation on the gunas. I've known for almost 15 years that they were a significant part of the path, but I didn't quite know what until I found James Schwartz's work. So basically what I do is, or what I see myself doing, is pointing people towards, direct pointing towards the truth of what you are. No. I point people towards who I consider to be legitimate and people worthy of and things that are worthy of their time, energy, and attention if they're interested in Advaita Vedanta, such as Ramana, such as the Gita, such as James Schwartz. Those are all sources of Advaita Vedanta I trust. And yes, if someone comes here and says something that contradicts one of those things, I'm going to point it out. And then also what I'm doing is helping people recover from Neo-Advaita, which is very dangerous. very, very dangerous, is this guy who I'm very tempted to name, but I won't. Um, uh, it's a prime example. And how many hundreds or thousands of people has this guy led astray? Who can say? And that's just one Neo-Advaita teacher. Um, so, and also helping people recognize cult dynamics. And this new thing that's just kind of coming is how to have healthy spiritual dialogue. How to engage in a healthy way when we disagree, when we step on each other's toes. Because here's an example of that I'd say is not so healthy. Um, do do do. Thanks for trying. Thanks for trying. Um, anyway, I'm not even gonna look at that comment anymore. But yeah, how to have respectful disagreements. How to be like, you know what? I don't like what you did, and I don't think it's accurate. Without preaching and without insulting. And it's an art form, and I'm perfecting. I'm working at getting better at it myself. So, um, an excellent comment was brought up by. I'm not going to name this person but I will read their comment in another video, which I've been wanting to talk about. Is you know to become a doctor, you have to go through a lot of training, and there's rules, and there's regulations, and there's certification boards. And that's why it's so important to only study with an Advaita Vedanta teacher that's in a legitimate tradition. How can you tell if they're in a legitimate tradition? That's a whole in and of itself. But I'm only aware of three. I'm sure there's a couple others. Amaji, um, in a legitimate tradition or recognized by religious authorities. Amici, James Schwartz, and there's another person that someone posted. I think his name is Swami Swami Bhavananda. He's based out of New York, I think. And actually, there's a great guy who I'll post a video of his. He has a temple in New Jersey. Um, So, if they're not recognized by the religious institution of Hinduism, or they're not in, and that's the first and foremost, because a lot of teachers claim a lineage that does not exist, or if they're in a legitimate lineage, and there's a lot of Neo-Advaita teachers that claim it, and it is bogus, absolutely bogus. So more videos coming on that, and that's why the first one, recognized by the institution of Sanatana Dharma, Hinduism, is so important. So I am open to feedback, respectful feedback, but I'm not looking for a teacher. Thanks. I have a couple. One of my teachers is liberated in every sense of the word. He doesn't suffer anymore, and he doesn't identify with his personality, and he's integrated. He's an integrated being who is doing service, who has a life, has a wife, and he's down to earth. He's humble, um, and so yeah. So I am open to clear feedback, but I'm not looking for a teacher. I'm always open to more peer relationships connections where people meet as equals and interact as equals. But comments like the one I just mentioned, it's one up, one down. And I'm a little guilty of it myself. It's really hard to share spiritual ideas and not do that. And so I'm constantly seeking to express myself in the cleanest way possible, in equality, which ultimately is I'm not there yet, but Advaita Vedanta is about equality, that the divine is everywhere and in everything. Thanks so much. Take care.